Welcome to the Collector Cave, and today we have a review of a figure that's about 1 or 2 years old. And I was in a comic shop over the weekend, and it was sitting there on the peg, and I grabbed it. And this is Diamond Select, Marvel Select, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. And I've seen this figure online on Instagram being photographed, and I always passed on it because I don't really collect Diamond Select, even though I've always seen them in comic shops. They look really great, but they're a taller scale than your Marvel Legends. They're a 1/10 scale, so like 7 inches tall. So they don't really go in with Marvel Legends very good. So I didn't want to start a whole new line back in the day. So long story short, I've only bought maybe one of these in my life, the Doctor Doom. That's probably now, man, maybe 10 years old. But I'm on an FF kick, and I've always loved Fantastic Four. And I just went and saw First Steps for the second time. This time in an IMAX theater, about 2 hours from my house where I live, and it was fantastic in IMAX. And this comic shop was just down the street from it, and I stopped, and he had it on the wall, and I just for $30 I grabbed it. So here we are, and we'll get into this, but this accessory piece here is super cool. And we'll kind of compare some other Reed Richards figures that I have and see which one might be the best, which one comes out on top. But overall, the Diamond Select packaging is always top notch. It shows you what you're getting. You see everything. It has some cool logo with the Fantastic Four logo, Mr. Fantastic here on the side. And on the side here is a shot of Reed Richards, the figure. Looks really good. And on the back here, some more. And here's this picture with his body, like he's like a boa constrictor. And then I will zoom in, and you guys can read this for your own time if you want. You can pause and read that. But it talks about a write-up of Reed Richards, who he is. He's super smart, very intelligent, the most intelligent character in Marvel Universe, at least by my standards. And it does say he's 1/10 scale. It's got 16 points of articulation, so a little less than your typical Marvel Legends figure. But here's some legalese about Diamond Select Toys. There is the proof of purchase, the UPC, if you care about that. And then there's the bottom, not a whole lot. So I'm going to try and carefully cut this. I probably won't keep the packaging just because it's so massive, but it does look good behind this. But as always, I open all my toys nowadays. I don't keep stuff in package. I want to enjoy it, review it, display it, take pictures. So let me get this guy opened up and we'll take a closer look. Okay, just a reminder, this is for children ages 3 and up because they're all are small pieces. And if you're taking this packaging apart, much like McFarlane toys, you have a lot of these metal bands you have to undo. A lot of these things you got to cut with a knife, so it holds the figure in place. It's kind of a pain in the butt the way the packaging is. I've never been a fan of that packaging, but it keeps stuff in place for display purposes. So just be careful when using an X-Acto blade or something to get the stuff unpackaged. Okay, and it comes with some paper here that comes in with the figure. Some figures that were coming out. Of course, this is like 2 or 3 years ago, but as you can see, there's some ones here. And then on the back, there's also some more. And this thing is being re-released as well as Reed, I believe. I don't know if it's like a version 2.0 or what, but they're coming back. I do have the Sandman. I forgot I had this Sandman. And that Sandman is a fantastic figure. Yeah, some of these Marvel Select or Diamond Select figures are really cool. But let's focus on Reed. And here is Reed and everything he comes with. He has some really cool accessories. I always love getting a Mr. Fantastic figure because everyone seems to do things a little differently. And in this case, Diamond Select has done a really good job. While nothing is bendable, there's no rubber bendable pieces. There are a bunch of pieces that you can use with this figure to get different looks. And we're going to start with my favorite piece because I have nothing like this in any of my Mr. Fantastic figures. And while it looks like a cell phone holder, and it very well could be a cell phone holder, just FYI, your cell phone will fit in here, along with pencils, pens, scissors, whatever you want it to be. This is like he's wrapped his body around somebody. And we'll show how that works, but it's see-through. It's a nice solid piece. It's heavy. Some people have modded this and actually taken a knife and cut some of this to make it move. I'm not going to do that with my personal copy, but it looks really cool. People have gone all out on mods with this figure, and it looks fantastic. No pun intended. So we'll look forward to looking at that. This is another part that replaces his mid torso. So it extends his mid torso to make him taller, like he's stretching. And then of course you have this part is for his neck. So you can put his head up top, plug this into his neck, and he can have a neck like his neck is moving. And then you replace the forearms, and you have these longer pieces. You have a fist for the right hand, and you have an open grasping hand for the left hand. And again, these are not bendable. It'd be cool if they would have been able to bend, but they're static. They're hard, kind of a hard plastic. And then you have 3 extra hands, very similar. And then you have the ultimate nullifier. Ultimate nullifier. I believe that's what it's called. Boy, it's been so long. He used that to defeat Galactus in the comics a long time ago. So it's cool he has that device. And then here is the figure himself, Mr. Reed Richards. And, you know, this is, like I said, this is not the same size as a Marvel Legends. This is a 7-inch figure or a 1/10 scale as opposed to 1/12 scale with Marvel Legends. So it won't really go in with that. But I'll tell you what, man, displaying this on the shelf, it has a really nice shelf presence, these bigger figures. And I think that's why McFarlane did that with his run of DC stuff. I prefer the 6-inch line personally, but to get a couple like this, I'm okay with. And check out that Reed Richards. His gray hair actually goes around his whole head. In this case, I think it looks really good, really well done. Let me zoom in even closer for his face. Paint apps look pretty good. You know, I'm zoomed in really close. You're gonna see some flaws like up here in his above his eye. It looks like a crack, but you can't really see that looking at it on the shelf. But paint apps look nice. I think this looks like Reed from the comics, and that's all I can ask for. I prefer comic accurate stuff versus like movie stuff. So this is right up my alley. The only unfortunate thing is his symbol looks great, but there is a piece of paint chipped, I believe, or a white bleed. I can't really scratch this off. So unfortunately, I've got a mark there on that ring around the 4, which kind of bums me out. I'll have to Photoshop that for pictures, but there's a little bit of a bleed right here from the black paint. So their paint apps are not perfect by any means, but for a $30 figure, I think overall it's pretty good. You think that Marvel Legends are, you know, $4 less now. Marvel Legends are $25.99 or $24.99. So this is about $5 more than a Marvel Legends figure. So you figure a 1-inch taller figure, there's more plastic, and he comes with a lot more, I think, than most of the Marvel Legends figures as far as accessories, which is great. And then here's how the rest of his body looks. I wish his arms didn't flare out so much. I wish they could move more down. And I've seen people mod this figure online. They actually kind of etch some of this out to let his arms go in further. But I mean, I'm not going to have him in this pose anyway, so it's going to be fine. But just an overall look at the figure here. Looks really good. The proportions are nice. It looks like a Reed Richards figure. You know, he's kind of lanky and he's kind of tall. And I think Diamond Select captured this pretty good. Let's go over articulation while we're here. 16 points, so a lot less, but I think you get most of the points you need to make this figure look good. So the head is not on a ball joint in the neck. The head is, but the neck's not. The neck can actually swivel on the body, and of course the head is separate with the ball joint. He can look down about that far, which is pretty good, but the way his hair is designed and cut, he cannot look up more than that. So he doesn't look up good at all. Not a game breaker for me, but a deal breaker, but it's still, it does kind of stink a little bit. And you can tilt his head a bit. Arms go out just about 90, which is good. The joints are real tight. There's a bicep swivel. There's a single joint elbow, and it also swivels. So a little bit different articulation, not a double joint. And you can see pins. As you can see, there are pins exposed. Marvel Legends today are not doing, they're closing all their pins up. So it's too bad they didn't do this. Maybe if Diamond Select keeps making figures, I don't know if they will. They're in trouble a little bit, but financially. But it'd be nice if that pin was missing. And then there's a swivel at the wrist because this pops off to put on the extended. And then there's a hinge joint, which is really tight on this wrist. And then there is a ball joint in the middle torso. And it doesn't really give you much of a bend forward, not at all. bend back just a little bit. So not a whole lot, to be honest. And then there's a swivel at the waist, no ball joint. And then the legs, there is a thigh cut, a thigh swivel, which is good. Legs go up just about 90. And this is kind of a bummer. There's only a single pin knee, and it doesn't even get 90 degrees. That's what the knee joint looks like. So I would have preferred a double jointed knee for sure. It does, however, rotate like the wrist or the arm peg does. So it rotates in a little bit, but disappointing that's not double jointed. Now the pants, I will say, look good. It hides the joint real nice, which is nice. It just doesn't go back very far. And then the boots do not have a swivel at the boot, which is odd because the wrists do, but the boots don't. And then your typical kind of Marvel Legends ankle here, and you get some really good rocker, which is great. I love ankle rocker for dynamic posing purposes. So with it being 16 points, you get mostly what you need. Your dynamic posing with this figure is going to come in by using the accessories, and we'll kind of display that here in a few minutes. So I'm going to just pop off one of these wrists to show you guys. It just simply pulls off. It's a peg joint, and then you simply just push in the new arm, and you got to make sure it clicks. So there is one of his arms all of a sudden. Look at that. I mean, it completely changes the look of this figure. Let's do the other one. Put the fist on. Yeah, look at that. That is really awesome. Now, I will say it'd be cool if these would have been bendable. That would have put this figure over the top in my book. If these wrists or whatever would have been bendable, that would have been perfect. Still, though, it gives you a lot of good options for doing stuff. Now, let me try and pull off his head. And as you can see there, that comes off with a peg. And we're going to put in this, I'll put his head on first. His head just plugs in. And there's a couple ways you can do this. So we're going to plug his neck in to his head there. So you can do it like this. Let me zoom out. You can make it like that, which looks really crazy. Or you can turn it around like this and then turn the neck around, the head around, and have him looking like this. Which is still bonkers, right? But it's Reed. I mean, he's got some crazy abilities. So that's how that looks. Of course, you can turn it sideways and have him looking sideways. You can have him waving. That's actually pretty cool. He can be waving to Sue, his BFF, right? His wife. Now for this torso part. I'm going to pull apart this, and we're going to get that added. I haven't done this yet at all. So that just pulls off like that, as you can see. And then this torso part that extends just plugs in. This stuff all goes in pretty easy. It's really tight, though. That's really tight for any sort of swivel movement. Now I've got to try and pull this out. That's going to be the trouble part. Let me stop this and do it off camera. Okay, so I had to use a heat gun or a blow dryer to pull this off. It was really tight. As you can see, if I zoom in here, there are little like nodules on this ball joint to give extra friction points to keep that tight. And that was really difficult to pull off. So I used a little heat, about 20 seconds, and then it wouldn't come off. And again, another 10, 15 seconds. I kind of bent it forward to get the heat inside there, and it finally pulled off. So with that said, now we should be able to pop this into place. Stuff is real tight. Yeah, I'm going to have to heat it up because it's real tight. All right, I had to heat it up and I was able to pop it in place. But there's the extended torso, as you can see. Much more torso, about double the amount than the standard one it comes with. Boy, you really get to see some proportions here now with him and how he looks. It'd been cool if he would have had extendable legs. Would have made this thing over the top. Completely over the top. But I think he looks really good. He looks crazy. All, you know, doing his stretchiness. But let me try and get a couple poses here and see what we can get. All right, there's a sort of dynamic pose with Reed. His ankles being able to rock as much as they are help him to balance and stand up. he's getting ready to punch maybe Dr. Doom in the face. He's got his hand extended out. And as you can see, that elbow rotates like that, so you can move it how you need it to go. I think this looks really cool, really bonkers. I like it. Let's try now the one where he's wrapping around. All right, and check this out. This is super cool. This is the Mezco Dr. Doom, and he fits inside of this Reed Richards elongated body perfectly. You know, I mean, maybe the size isn't the right because this Mezco figure is a bit shorter, but because Reed can, you know, stretch and bend, I think the proportions actually look really good. And so you can see Doom. I had his arms out at first, but you get his arms kind of like he's like been trapped. And he's looking up at Reed like, what are you doing to me? How dare you lay a rubber hand on Dr. Doom, Monarch of Latveria. And then you can always, of course, change it. So you just have, you know, his head down lower now. That looks actually better. Check that out. And now let's take this wrist off and put on his other hand. You know, he doesn't come with fists. I just realized he has 2 open hands, but no fists. Let me change one of the hands out and just get a look of what this might look like. Okay, so we do this, put his hand on, and he's like, he's got Doom right where he wants him. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of different play options you can do with this. And I'll tell you what, man, that looks really cool. That'd be a cool display option for your shelf. You know, any figure that fits inside this would be great, but obviously Dr. Doom. And I think because Mezco is a bit of a taller scale for 1/12, it actually matches up pretty good. Let's just take a closer look at this accessory piece here. I think the paint apps are really good. You got some darker colors and lighter colors, some dry brushing going on. Reed standing over Victor. I think this looks better without the bendable head, the stretched head. I think it looks better like this. But yeah, a lot of cool play options. This being by far my most favorite. So, man, let's do some comparisons now to other Marvel Legends and Mezco figures to see how this compares to those. Okay, so I've got the Diamond Select one with all the extendable accessories he has, and he still pales in comparison to the Mezco one. As you can see, the Mezco one is so bonkers. It's still my favorite Reed. I will say I've had this set for almost 2 years now, and his legs are starting to get a bit weak. This glue came apart on this boot. I just got to reglue it, but it's starting, for the weight of this, is starting to make those hip joints loose, unfortunately. And of course, he has all bendable. This is a bendable piece. His arms are bendable. His neck is bendable, unlike the Diamond Select. But of course, this Mezco one costs much more than this $30 Diamond Select. But overall, close up, we look at the FF4 symbol. This one's cleaner than the Diamond Select because I have that mark here. I have a blue paint and I have a black white spot there too. But face sculpts are pretty close, to be honest. The Mezco one's much more tan. I feel like the Diamond Select pigment is more natural than this one. Although on camera, this one comes off a lot more tan than in real life. But these are good comparisons, these two figures right here. These are really awesome. Let's grab a couple Marvel Legends now compared to this guy. Okay, without removing any of the bendable extra stuff, I've got him next to the First Steps Pedro Pascal Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic that just came out. And then this is the Walgreens exclusive from 5-6 years ago. They both come with bendable arms. These arms actually bend pretty good, whereas these ones don't really bend at all. Let me get him lower now just to see the height comparison and how he stacks up. Okay, yeah, and this Diamond Select Reed Richards comes in at exactly 7 inches tall, so he's about an inch taller than these other two that are about 6 inches tall. So as you can see, the scale doesn't scale, but still having these on your shelf in that presence looks really good. And I have to say, this blue looks really good. I really like the lighter blue in the movie. It fits that 60s aesthetic, but this to me is a classic. Is maybe the closest to the classic look I can think of, with the black as well. So yeah, really cool. Okay, at the end of the day, is this Diamond Select Reed Richards figure worth it? For 30 bucks, I think absolutely. The price is right. Now, can you still get it? That's the question. It's sold out in BBTS. However, Entertainment Earth is showing it for pre-order, along with the Thing, the Diamond Select Thing that came out, I think, years before this one. So if you missed those ones, you can maybe pre-order those now if you want. Sue, as of the recording of this video, is still available, and you can get her on BBTS for $29.99 as well. So I got her coming as well to match this reed. Unfortunately, Johnny Storm, I don't think he's really easy to find except in the secondary market, and he's kind of got a pretty high price point. So for 30 bucks, I think these Marvel Select figures are worth it. I wish I would have gotten more through the years, but I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, so I'm going to be happy with this. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this figure. I know it's old, but I think it's really cool. It turned out really good. It's not perfect. Some of the paint apps are a little off, like that Fantastic Four symbol on mine, but overall, really like this figure. And until next time, this has been Diamond Select, Marvel Select figure, Mr. Fantastic. Thanks for watching.